This is how I feel today. Holy frickin' mother. Hello, my fam. It is Perez, the queen of all media, the original influencer, and your number one best, fiercest, most fabulous source for everything. It ends with us, saga. There is so much to talk about. This video is going to be 5 updates in one, starting off with something very juicy. We, me, and maybe you are going to be able to listen in on a hearing. Monday, it was just added to the court docket. The court will hold a video conference via Microsoft Teams to address the discovery dispute in the Jones action on Monday, November 24th, 2025 at 3 p.m. Remember, we went over this yesterday. Blame Game Lively was alleging that one of the crisis communications team experts, an employee of Melissa Nathan, had material that was responsive to her subpoena request that she purposefully kept hidden. And she was demanding that it be turned over because it could prove Melissa Nathan, Catherine Case's boss, out to be a not credible witness. And she thinks that'll be very helpful for her case. Allegedly, if we are to believe the mistress of misrepresentation, Melissa Nathan said something during her deposition that was contradicted by somebody else during their deposition. So, hand it over, says Serpentine Vanderbully. And now the judge is going to have a hearing where the lawyers will be via video conference and we can listen in. Judge Lyman says the parties will be provided instructions for accessing the hearing via email. The court will post an audio-only dial-in number on the docket for the public and press to access the hearing, and you know I will. How about you? And today, we also heard directly from the lawyer to non-party Catherine Case. The attorney for the tag employee says she's a liar. Liar. Maxwell Breed tells Judge Lyman, quote, "On behalf of non-party Catherine Case, we respectfully respond to Miss Lively's untimely response to the Jones party's motion to compel, on which the court has now set a November 24th hearing, solely for the purpose of correcting the record. The central position of Miss Lively's submission rests on her counsel's assertion that Miss Case's potential production of additional records confirms that there are documents responsive to Miss Lively's document request that were improperly withheld. That averment is incorrect." Following extensive negotiations and motion practice, Catherine's lawyer says, Miss Case conducted a review based upon agreed search terms that were applied to agreed sources and to a date range set by the court. Miss Case produced all responsive, non-privileged documents identified through that process. The assertion that because additional potentially responsive records may exist outside of those parameters, Miss Case somehow withheld records is thus untrue, as Miss Lively's counsel knows or should know. To translate that legalese for you, if the tag employee now does hand over something that is responsive, that doesn't mean she withheld anything purposefully. It just means that ethically challenged Ezra and Lil Mikey and all of the other very expensive attorneys representing their cash cow didn't lawyer well enough. Didn't negotiate the terms well enough, weren't thorough enough. Sucked. We thank the court for its attention and consideration, says Maxwell Breed. As noted in our last submission, we will abide by the court's instructions on this application, just as we have done before. Now, we've gotten to what I think is one of the biggest tells in weeks. They're telling on themselves. We just heard today from Sony, one of the villains in this saga. Initially, Sony was trying to play both sides and straddle the middle. But as we know, over the last few months, they've definitely sided with Malevolent. And Sony's lawyer is chiming in on what we discussed yesterday. You know, the basement manager wanting to keep so much hidden from the motion for summary judgment that the Wayfarer parties filed last week. Keep it under seal. The public should not see this. And Sony, if they had their way, will keep everything related to them sealed also. They tell Judge Lyman, quote, "We write on behalf of non-party Sony Pictures Entertainment, the film's distributor, to request an extension of time to file a motion to seal portions of deposition testimony and confidential documents produced by SPE and designated attorney's eyes only, which defendant Wayfarer Studios filed in connection with its motion for summary judgment." On November 18th, earlier this week, counsel for defendant Wayfarer Studios informed SPE it had filed 26 documents produced by SPE, 26, not some ungodly amount, and 34 pages of deposition testimony of an SPE witness as exhibits to its motion for summary judgment. All of the documents and testimony were designated confidential, and 4 documents were designated attorney's eyes only. Wayfarer's counsel informed SPE the information had been conditionally filed under seal, and the deadline for SPE to request that the documents be permanently sealed is November 26th. Pause. Anybody else catch that? The November 26th date was not the correct date. It was the date that Wayfarer mistakenly told some third parties, like Sony, we have now learned. But, are you getting at what I'm trying to tell you? Has it registered yet? Y'all, this is why you need to watch every one of my videos. Yesterday, I let you know Van Wilder's wife, she was aware of this November 26th incorrect date, and she brought it up in her filing yesterday. What does that tell us? The cinematic terrorist and Sony are in cahoots, officially. We know it now. There's no denying it. The lawyer for Sony continues. On November 19th, SPE wrote to counsel for Wayfarer to inform counsel that SPE required additional time to review the documents and testimony, meet and confer with counsel for Wayfarer, and evaluate whether it is necessary to file a motion requesting that confidential and AEO, attorney's eyes only information, be permanently sealed. Having received no response from Wayfarer's counsel and given the impending deadline less than 24 hours later, we write on behalf of SPE to request such an extension from the court. We understand plaintiff has sought an extension until December 8th to request that the court permanently seal information filed in connection with Wayfarer's motion for summary judgment. SPE respectfully requests the same or a similar extension of time. Well, Lying Lively's bestie, Judge Lyman, has already, just moments ago, ruled on both of these requests for more time to meet and confer and discuss and review sealing permanently or not filings that were included in the motion for summary judgment. The judge says, quote, "The alternative proposal submitted by Team Ridicula is adopted." Pause. Remember, this motion was to consolidate everything so that all parties and non-parties submitted everything to the judge at the same time. An omnibus, it is called. The judge says that this is a better option, given the volume of relevant materials and the impracticability of resolving numerous motions in piecemeal fashion. Okay, I think that makes sense. Parties and non-parties are directed to file any motions for continued sealing of materials submitted in connection with the motions for summary judgment by December 19th. The court will act as expeditiously as possible under the circumstances and well before it decides the motion for summary judgment. The public will therefore be able to properly monitor the court's work prior to any such decision. The clerk of court is respectfully directed to close docket number 985. And my former arch nemesis, Judge Lyman, was not done. He was real busy today. He set up that hearing for Monday. He gave us this order and another one. This was in regards to Fake Libely's recent letter asking the judge for permission to include more evidence in her request for sanctions against Wayfarer for improperly filing claims. We went over that request and Wayfarer's response, and now this is what the judge has to say. Plaintiff Blake Lively seeks to supplement Rule 11 motions that she and her husband, Ryan Reynolds, filed in May 2025. The Wayfarer parties oppose the motion and request that at the very least they be granted leave, meaning being allowed, to file a more fulsome substantive response within 2 weeks. Without prejudging the question of whether after acquired evidence, meaning fact discovery ended and the evidence was from depositions, without prejudging the question of whether after acquired evidence may be used to supplement Rule 11 motions such as the ones at issue here, the Wayfarer parties are granted leave to file a more fulsome substantive response within 2 weeks of the date of this order. Lively shall have 1 week from the date of that response to reply. So ordered. As I said earlier this week, I'll take every win. Every little thing is a step towards justice. Every baby victory is still a win. You know what else wins? My cameos. I love making personalized videos for you all. I am really good at it. Don't take my word for it. Check out my thousands of glowing reviews. Book a cameo from me for whatever the occasion. I'll make a video for a birthday, for the holidays, you name it. Get one right now on the Cameo website at cameo.com/myname. Also, get some of my merch. I organically dislike you. Greater than my haters. Come correct and more. Check out all of my official merchandise at buypopstuff.com. That's buypopstuff.com. If you like my podcast, sign up for our Patreon. You will get an exclusive episode every single week. And we're super involved in the message board, chatting with our followers there every day. Sign up right now at patreon.com/myname. P to the E to the R to the E to the Z to the H to the I to the L to the T to the O to the N. You can always read my website to support, stay informed and entertained, and that's free. Go to myname.com, Perez, that's me, Hilton.com, every day throughout the day. And you know it. You are a superstar. You are the 1%. Thank you for watching until now. Most people don't watch until the end. If you want to support even more, hit the like button. That lets the algorithm know you want more of my content. And also, in the comments section, say Sony. Sony. Commenting also helps get more engagement, more views, and telling the algorithm you want more of me. I would love to give you more. All right, say Sony in the comments section. Thoughts on everything we discussed. So many updates. Let's get into it all. You know where.